Present.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem Hattie Portis Jones.
Absent.
Councilmember Pat Pallin.
Present.
Councilmember James Whitmore.
Present.
Councilmember Alan Spieth.
Present.
Councilmember Ulysses Smallwood.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, all of your honorable council members are present.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll ask everyone to please stand. We'll ask Dr. Maya Taylor from Open Word Christian Ministries, please come forward. By invocation.
Sir. Father, we love you this evening, and we thank you for the privilege and honor to stand before you as a city, acknowledging your all-powerful hand and your rule in the land. God, I pray specifically for those that are in authority, that your hand is stretched out above them, your knowledge is in them. And Lord God, I thank you that they are filled with the spirit of servant leadership. Blessings are already upon this family of citizens in this wonderful city. So Father, we say amen to that. And we declare by your name that all will be done decently and in order because your blessing is upon this land. In your name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got my star for learning the Pledge of Allegiance. All your stars.
At this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to adopt the city council agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
A motion's been made and properly second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. You have before you the approval of the city council meeting, minutes, meeting that commenced on October the 24th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. You have before you the minutes for the special call meeting that commenced on November the 2nd, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any corrections?
Made the second.
Mr. Heath? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Before we go into our public comment, Mr. Clerk, how many speakers do I have?
Only the two,
Only two, so,
only the two elected officials.
okay, so I was gonna ask anyway, before I went into public comment, I was gonna ask, our two new state representatives-elect, would you please both come forward? And I'll start with Ms. Lydia Glaze, since you're a former member of this body. And, would you just please come in your own way and just introduce yourself to the public?
Well, good evening, everyone. It's an honor to stand before you this evening, and especially those who serve in this great city. I'm honored, and I thank you. I thank those who supported me and voted for me, helped me. Some are sitting in the audience, particularly my husband, who helped me in this race.
Yeah.
But the real idea here is that I get to continue to serve in a capacity that helps us become the best city we can, because we are situated to succeed. And so Mayor Avery and the council, in this august body of leaders here who run our city every day, you have my 110% support. Anything that this city needs, they're gonna get. If it's in my purview to help you, you absolutely have my promise that I work with you, never against you. And then again, I'm honored to be your representative. And as a member of this city for over 33 years, where we've raised our children, I can see no better time than for me to join hands with you in this specific honor as your representative, to make sure that Fairburn continues to succeed and that our residents thrive. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to stand before you today.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
So, good evening, everyone. I look forward to working with you. My name is Tish Nagisi. I do live in Fayetteville, but there's no doubt in my mind that I will be here for the people of Fairburn. Fulton County is very dear to me. I had one son that graduated from public school in Fulton County and one that was in Fayetteville. So I am here to support this body. I'm a friend. Lydia and I will be working together as a team. We're one part of Fairburn and the other part is me. So I just look forward to everyone. Again, my name is Tish Nagisi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll go to our agenda as printed. We have a rezoning. Mr. City Manager, you want to mention it, then I'm going to let the, you want to mention, name the item, and then I'll let,
First item,
actually, I'm sorry, actually, City.
it's a rezoning ordinance 2022-088, MCRT SFR Investment LLC in care of Battle Law at Sonoya Road and Landrum Road.
Okay. At this point, I will ask the Planning and Zoning Commission. Staff report. Staff report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
For the first time, we've got a presentation to present the facts of the case and then as well as the recommendation. So I'll run through that with you.
Okay.
All right, so the first case on the agenda is number 2022-088, and the request is to rezone 8515, 8521 Sonoya Road and 0 and 8521 Landrum Road. The applicant's requesting to rezone the property from AG, and it is also in the Highway 74 overlay district, to a planned development district. And the purpose is to rezone it to accommodate the townhome use, 187 units, and a commercial use that's not been specifically identified as to what that use is, as well as a portion that's going to be retained for conservation. There's quite a bit of the property that has some environmental areas in it, whether it be wetlands or stream buffers, things of that nature. So the residential density is calculated at 4.46 density units an acre, and that's a gross calculation including all of those environmentally sensitive areas. So with that, I've got a map of the future land use map as well as just an aerial, and the property is outlined there in black. The purple area is the highway mixed use district, and then kind of that tan yellow color is identified as the rural residential character area on the 2040 comprehensive plan. And then the aerial, you can see that the property is there on the west side of the property is where a lot of those environmental areas are, and the rest of the property is very large lot residential developed in some cases. We've got here excerpts from the comprehensive plan, the first being the highway mixed use. That's the purple area that you see. This is made up of those 4 parcels, and there is that one portion that is purple that is identified as this. And the vision for this area is for a vibrant commercial character area. It's along Sonoya Road, Highway 74, so we've got that overlay district that it's fronting on. The comp plan also seeks smaller scale and walkable centers and safe and accessible centers. Additionally, there's a desire for townhomes to be a transitional use from the higher density commercial areas down to the more residential areas. And then within the highway mixed use district, that is. And then there's a mixed use component with other commercial uses envisioned within this district. And again, note that this vision in the highway mixed use is identified for that purple portion only. So next we'll move into the portion of the property that is envisioned to be in the rural residential character area. This character area is envisioned to preserve the rural feel and transition from kind of this rural residential down to the just rural districts within the city and then in other neighboring cities. And it envisions a minimum of 1 acre lot sizes within this area. And the zoning districts that are envisioned for the rural residential future land use map character area are residential in nature. So R1, 2, 3, and 4 are what's envisioned. Here's the site plan of the proposed 187 units. And then over on the far eastern side along Sonoya Road is where you'll see the that little bit over 2 acre commercial parcel. There's access onto the site there on the east side on Sonoya Road, and then on the northern portion, which is Landrum Road. So you'll have those 2 different access points. And then you can see those environmentally sensitive areas there toward the west and south of the property. And the proposed elevations and site plans for the townhomes. Their elevations. So staff did a review of the analysis in section 80-300, which is the criteria by which we have to assess these requests, these rezoning requests. And as you saw outlined in your staff report, we did not make the findings for the criteria related to is the use suitable in view of the adjacent development toward the west where the AG properties are going to continue to be zoned are not part of this request. Those are larger lot residential that are anticipated to be protected by this rural residential designation. And then likewise, that we did not find that it was in conformance with the comprehensive plan, given that the vision for the largest portion of the property is for that 1 acre minimum lot size. And just as a visual, this is a very rough overlay on the portion of property that does envision those townhomes as that transitional use, and the remainder of it being that envisioned rural residential designation. So with that, staff did recommend denial at the October 4th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Likewise, that commission recommended denial. We have proposed conditions, proposed conditions that City Council could incorporate into the motion, should you be able to make the findings in favor of the application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For each public hearing, the applicant and those wishing to speak in support or opposition shall be given the opportunity to speak for 10 minutes each. At this time, can I entertain a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
At this time, we're now entertaining a motion for those who wish to speak in support of the item, excuse me, of this zoning. You may come forward.
Let me close this. All right. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Tyler McSwain. Pleasure to be here with you this evening. I'm acting on behalf of the Battle Law Firm who is representing our client, Mill Creek Residential, and would like to reserve hopefully just 5 minutes of your time to talk about this project and how we got here. Okay? Again, I want to thank Rebecca for her and staff's time to thoroughly go through this application and provide you with the facts on this project. I want to talk a little bit about some of the key development factors that's impacting this project and this site. I don't want to regurgitate everything that Rebecca has said, but I want to talk about some of the things that we wanted to bring to the light on this project. One of the items I want to start with, and also we have a presentation that's being shown. Oh, thank you. Okay, technology. All right, so again, I'm going to go directly, just a little bit about Mill Creek Residential. They're developing, we also have, raise your hand, our client there. They have a lot of projects that they're working on, specifically in the region for Georgia, also across the United States as well. And there's a map kind of showing you a little bit about some of the activities and projects that they've been working on. Want to go directly into the site plan and talk about the factors here. Half of this site in question cannot be developable in its current or proposed state. And as staff has pointed out, environmentally, there has some challenges with the flood zones and plains that are on this site. So the density that was requested is being proposed to you this evening is part of those factors of the layout. And I'm going to show here what's highlighted in red based upon the current layout. This is the areas plus some towards the Drum Road up the north area there. These are areas that cannot be developed clearly because of the water. And with that in mind, in its current factor, if someone were to develop this site, it's currently zoned now as agriculture. The 1 acre lots, I'm not sure how many of those you can get in there, but in terms of different uses that can go there, you're still going to be dealing with this factor of the water. Moving to the comprehensive plan, Rebecca did a great job of explaining the goals which your comprehensive plan points out for this area. The highway mixed-use design specifically quotes, provides an opportunity for commercial and residential land uses to coexist. That comprehensive design is what you're seeing here, as we also have a 2 acre tract on the bottom right corner of this site. And again, the PUD, so the proposed zoning district plan unit development, is supported by the highway mixed-use overlay. It's unfortunate that majority of the portion on the left-hand side of this site is rural residential, which is not compliant per US code. And with that in mind, we understand that the corridor is going to be changing or has specific character and a certain look, and we believe that the layout that you're seeing and the product that our client's proposing will fit in line with the comprehensive plan and also the views of what the city and citizens would like for this area. We did receive some comments from the public regards to traffic. We did provide a traffic feasibility study that was completed in August of this year. We do know that there were 2-lane roads and the proposed amount of units, how many cars. Based upon that analysis, there wasn't any major improvements in terms that were needed, but we will be happy being subject to making any applied contributions or changes to the roads as seen fit by the city's ordinance and review authorities. We want to keep the residential feel, and we believe that with some smart design, we think that buffers and other approaches here, we can kind of preserve the look here for the corridor. We think that the landscaping and the buffers will allow for the visibility for this site to have the appearance of keeping it rural. And without further ado, I will also show the product that's being proposed. And these are going to be a 3-bedroom product. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that the city mayor, council members may have for me.
Well, we'll have time for that.
Okay, understood.
Does there anyone else wish to speak in support of this item? Okay, at this time, is there anyone that wish to speak in opposition of this item? Come on up, sir.
Thank you. I'd like to say good evening to the city,
Good evening,
all
sir.
its members. My name is Pastor Hayes Clayton. I own the property at 7875 Bohannon Road, and we're here to ask for that zone to be changed, the zoning. And I'm just in support of what was just said. I think it'd be a great opportunity for the city.
Okay, hold up, sir. Say what now? I was actually, that's when I asked you earlier, sir, are you here in support of the project or in
Yes,
opposition?
support.
Okay, actually, technically, we're now in position to deal with the people that are speaking in opposition.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd already asked you. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Forgive me.
Yeah, we're dealing with the item, okay, we're dealing with the item that's on the floor, sir, right now, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here, anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition to the item that's on the floor? Seeing none, can I entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries as it relates to it. The public hearing is now closed. Correct. The city clerk will go ahead. You're going to read that. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay. Based on the proposed developments, inconsistency with the 2040 comprehensive plan and future land use map, rural residential destination, staff's recommendation is denial.
With the stated motion, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions by council regarding this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item.
The next item is a use permit ordinance 2022-117, Fairburn 55 Senior Housing, Bohannon Road.
I ask the staff to come up again for staff report.
Good evening. All right, for case number 2022-117, I will present to you a request for a use permit that also has 5 accompanying concurrent variances. The request will accommodate a use permit for an 80-unit senior housing project in the AG zoning district. Senior housing is a use that is permitted by use permit as opposed to by right, so they are required to come before this body and make a request to institute the senior housing use. Also within the zoning ordinance, there's a set of supplemental regulations that all senior housing uses have to comply with, and so that is the result of some of the concurrent variance requests before you. The first request is to reduce the front setback along Oakley Industrial Boulevard from 100 feet to 50 feet. And then the next request is to increase the lot coverage from 15% to 28.6. And then all of the remaining 3 come from the supplemental use regulations required from instituting the senior housing use. And so that's the request to for relief from the owner-occupied housing units. The applicant would like to do renter-occupied. The next would be parking in the front yard. And then the last request is to allow an accessory structure in the front yard for a refuse dumpster located within what's defined as the front yard. Over on the left, we've got the zoning map. The property is currently zoned AG, and it will continue as such as a result of this request. And then over on the right, we've got the future land use map, which is designated rural residential for this parcel. The rural residential identifies that it's looking for rural land uses at a maximum density of 1 acre, 1 unit per acre, and also identifies the acceptable uses, which are single-family residential, parks, churches, identified within the rural residential district. Here is the site plan where it's on a corner lot on the corner of Oakley Industrial Boulevard and Bohannon Road. You can see the parking lot out front with the senior housing units there in the rear. And you can see the layout with the various variances. Up in the kind of the top up toward Oakley Industrial Boulevard is where the the dumpster is. And you've got the front setback encroachment and then the parking there in the front yard as defined as the front yard as well. And then the maximum impervious coverage increase as well. Here's the elevation that the applicant submitted with the application. And then for the use permit, we look to section 80-172 for the criteria, and staff found that based on the adjacent land uses, which are industrial and kind of medium density residential, that the application does not meet that criteria. And then secondly, the future land use plan, that rural residential designation has not been met with this density, which is about 14.1 units an acre. There, for the variance criteria, staff has identified the variances as being, they run with the land, and so if you do consider the variances, we have identified that the front setback variance does comply with the variance criteria of 80-251, and then the remaining do not comply with that criteria as outlined in the staff report, but recommend denial of all of them should you not make the findings for the use permit. Likewise, Planning Commission recommended denial at the October 4th, 2022 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We did provide a series of conditions should you make the findings in favor of the application, and those are provided within your staff report.
Okay. We're moving to our public hearing area. The applicant and those wishing to appear in support of the application shall have no less than 10 minutes to present their position in support or oppositions. At this time, would I entertain a motion to open the public hearing?
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Motion's been made and second by Mr. Heath. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. At this time, our public hearing is officially open. Those that wish to speak in support of this item, would you please come forth?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Melanie Winfield. I am here on behalf of Urban Port Strategies, representing Staff and Properties LLC in this matter. Thank you for having us this evening. And so we have a presentation as well, and I won't bore you and reiterate everything that staff has said because she's done a great job of summarizing that, but I would like to walk you through some highlights of the property. And the owner, Charles Staffen, is here as well. So as staff indicated, this property is located at 7875 Bohannon Road at the corner of Bohannon Road and Oakley Industrial. And there is a lot of wooded area, and we do not plan to disturb a lot of that, but we are looking to build senior housing at that location. We're looking to build 2 buildings that will be, both buildings will be 4 stories and include 40 units for senior housing occupancy. And so along this industrial, you'll see that a lot of the wooded area will remain so that the property will sit back off of the street and sort of be secluded from there. And we're asking that the entry point for this property will be on Bohannon, well, entry and exit points will be on Bohannon Road, because we realize that Oakley Industrial is consumed with a number of truck traffic, and so we were looking for alternate routes for the residents to be able to enter and exit the property without having to enter onto Oakley Industrial Road. So again, the access and egress points will be on Bohannon Road for this property. And again, staff indicated the use permit that we're seeking, again, is for senior housing facility, along with the variances that we're seeking to accommodate the property as we envision it. So here we've outlined what those variances entail. Again, we're asking to reduce the setback from 100 feet to 50 feet on Oakley Industrial to allow for the property. Again, that allows for, according to the zoning ordinance, the property with when you're on a corner lot, the section with the least amount of frontage has to be your front yard. So again, because we're asking that the property have ingress and egress on Bohannon Road, we are seeking to have that front yard pushed back to 50 feet and with the ingress and egress on Bohannon Road. As staff indicated, we're also looking to have the front yard accommodate parking for the residents as well as a dumpster. and also asking to increase the lot occupancy from 15% to 28.6%. Here we want to talk about some of the features and amenities of the property itself. So, I missed something? Hold up. So here, you'll see a visual of what the property is expected to look like. Each of the units will have a balcony for the residents to be able to enjoy some outside weather. And all of the units will be accessible from an interior hallway that runs to their different property. So that sort of provides some safety because it won't have as many points of entry and exits to the properties for the residents who are there. Here we give a visual of some of the amenities within the property. There will be an ADA accessible walking trail for the community, a pickleball court, which is becoming a new activity for residents and citizens of all ages, a swimming pool, a fitness center with community rooms, a courtyard, 2 dog parks, a table and picnic area, a car washing area, as well as elevators within each of the facilities, because again, we are looking at 4-story facilities, and because we are targeting a older age community, we are outfitting each of the units with elevators for access to the units on the 4th floor. So when we did our community engagement sessions, there was concern expressed in terms of traffic, which in the Atlanta and surrounding areas, what areas not consumed with traffic. But again, to sort of remediate that, we are proposing that the access point be on Bohannon Road, just as depicted on your visual. And so that allows for the residents to be able to enter the property and exit the property, and then be able to make a left and go down to Landrum Road and be able to get to 74, again, bypassing Oakley Industrial in the event that they so choose to do so. While we will have one point of ingress and egress on Bohannon Road, of course, for public safety and emergency purposes, there will be another entry point on Oakley Industrial, but that will not be open on a regular basis. That would just be for an event the fire truck needs to come in or police need to come in. We want to be able to make sure that they can get to the facility as quickly as possible to be able to address whatever those immediate needs are.
I don't know how many more slides you got, but I want to make sure it is up to you and the people that are speaking in support of it. It's up to you to leave them time.
I'm
They
getting
wanna
through,
speak.
sir. Thank you. So we just wanted to call out some of the parts of your 2035 comprehensive plan, where a number of the residents have expressed the need for senior housing within the city. Not only just within the city, but they also wanted it for not necessarily low income, but affordable housing. And so the project that we're proposing does definitely that. It provides quality housing, and so that we highlight that for you. As well as in the short-term plan, that was a call out for staff to recruit developers to develop more senior housing. And so we will offer up that staff wouldn't have to recruit developers because Staffing Properties is here today, ready, willing, and able to accommodate the request to build senior housing within the city. Also, when community engagement sessions related to the 2035 plan was done, senior housing was the second item of concern for the residents and the citizens within the city. And so we just wanted to highlight that for you. Again, there has been a number of instances where there has been communicated that there is not enough senior housing and that they're wanted to be mixed income. And so the property that we're proposing does definitely that. We also had a market and feasibility study done, and here we list some of the summary of the findings for you, which the one conducting the study, the firm Providence, they specialize in senior housing and healthcare facilities, And as a result of their study, they identified that this location is ripe for senior housing, further supporting our request to have it there. And we also held community engagement sessions as required by the ordinance. The city requires that we invite individuals within 500 feet of the property. We actually did 2,000 feet, mailed out 309 notifications related to that. In addition to that, we also advertised on social media, again, trying to recruit individuals to come in and hear about the project. So we held 4 sessions, 2 in person and 2 virtually. Received some input from staff, from our residents. Again, the only item that was concerning was the traffic, and so we've identified a solution to try to abate that issue. And so that concludes our presentation. Again, I would just like to highlight.
If you don't mind, I want to make sure that if there's someone else, you got a minute and a half. Is there anyone, I see the gentleman standing behind you wants to speak. You, sir, you want to speak in support of this item that's on the floor? And all due respect, ma'am, you've taken 8 minutes. I would at least grant him the opportunity. Go ahead, sir.
Once again, thank you, and thank you for giving me the space. I won't be long. I see the clock. I am here to support this because I am a pastor, one of the local pastors in the area around here, and I think this would be a very, very wonderful project, is because of the seniors, and I have quite a few seniors in my church that could benefit from this, and also support Fairburn from a standpoint of just being here. And I know Fairburn is a growing place, and we just want to be a part of it. So I'm just here to support it. Whatever the city needs or requires, I pray, God, that we can accomplish that and that you will see this through. Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else with a minute left that wants to speak in support? Ma'am, you were.
Hello, Council. I am April Rogerson. I'm a licensed realtor in the area, and South Fulton is a region that I specialize in. This particular plot of land is zoned for, as you guys know, AG1, and it is a very limited use. If it is not a church or a school, single family would likely not be built on this land because of the wetlands and impervious setback. So the likelihood of someone purchasing this property for 1 to 2 single families is very, very, very low. So that would severely limit the ability for this property to be used for anything at this point. And this project is a very strong project that I think will do well there. And it is much more value added to the community than a 2 single family homes.
Thank you so much. At this time, is there anyone here that wishes to speak in opposition to this project?
So I come before you as Lydia Glaze, a resident of the city for 33 years. I've heard through several of my friends and folks that have lived here for 3 decades plus that when we consider building a senior home, that we would do what we've done previously to make sure that they're in a place where there is transportation, where they have ingress and egress more than one specific area, and that the needs of those seniors would be in a space where they can walk to and from the grocery store, get on the bus and go to a doctor's appointment. And in where we're talking now, it does not provide all of the needs. And that's why years ago we considered to make sure when we brought senior housing that they would have access to all of their needs and that their needs would be considered in it. So I would ask that we continue to follow what our great members of this society has already said would be our plan, and what our planning and zoning has continued to say, that this does not meet the criteria that we want for our city. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak in opposition of this item? Seeing none, can I entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
There's a second. Motion's made by Mr. Smallwood, second by Ms. Davis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Ms. City Clerk.
Based on the criteria outlined in section 80-172 and the analysis of each provision outlined herein, specifically the failure of the application to meet criteria 1 and 2. Staff recommends denial of the use permit for the senior housing development at 7875 Bohannon Road.
You've heard the statement. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Small. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Davis. Any questions or comments by council? Seeing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next item.
Next item is a resolution recognizing the proliferation of investors-owned housing in the city of Fairburn. Staff recommends mayor and council to approve this resolution and urging the Georgia General Assembly to protect communities by passing legislation to regulate corporate ownership of private homes and for other purposes. This is from the city administrator.
Mr. City Manager, you want to go first?
Members of mayor, members of council, as you may be aware, there has been a proliferation over a number of years of investor-owned properties in the city of Fairburn specifically and regionally as well. A recent Redfin study found that in Fairburn in 30213 zip code, institutional investors comprised nearly 50% of home purchases in 2021. As I referenced, this has been recognized as an area-wide challenge. Often those investor properties depress home values, cause other quality of life issues within communities. At a recent Georgia Municipal Association District 3 meeting, which probably had upwards of 20 area-wide cities, it was an agenda item and a topic of discussion. And what we garnered from that is that there are cities all over the region in the Southern Crescent that are experiencing this same challenge. With all of that said, we have brought this forward to council for your consideration to approve this resolution requesting and urging our state legislature to take on this issue. I believe there's a study committee already in place looking into this issue, and it certainly impacts the city of Fairburn, our residents, our property values, and our quality of life. And with that, we will offer this item for consideration by our elected members of City Council.
Members of council, you've heard this motion stated by the city clerk. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion is made by Mr. Palin, second by Ms. Davis. Any questions or comments by council?
Comment.
Ms. Davis?
City Administrator, Mr. Phillips, I am so excited about this resolution. I have done extensive research, and there are colleagues here as well that we have tried to fight this institutionalized investors coming into our communities and making havoc with our communities that's here in the city of Fairburn. And part of my research has determined that this is actually a human rights issue. And so you just don't know, when I got my agenda book and I saw this, how excited I was that we are taking a stand. And I've been in class with some cities with GMA, and they just don't know what to do. And I tell them what we do, and they think, oh, well, you all can't do that. I'm going, we doing it. So thank you so much for this and for the city of Fairburn taking a lead on something that really needs to be done. Thanks so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Whitmore?
Thank you, Mayor. Of course, I agree with my colleague. This is something that our city has been hit with back in the downfall of the market. And we had investors that came in, and there's one community in particular that has suffered greatly and still suffering because of that. So I think is very much needed for us to, as colleagues, stand together and support this type of legislation, asking our state legislators to do their part as well so that we can curb some of this, in particular in the city of Fairburn. We have two of our legislators that's going to be representing us, and I'm sure that they support this 1,000,000%. So I'm glad to see that this has come before us, and we can vote accordingly.
Okay. Any other member of council? Go ahead, Mr. Heath.
Having been a mortgage banker from 2007 until this 2017, I saw personally where people were losing their homes left and right. A lot of these investors were going out and getting loans and purchasing the homes, and then they would allow it to go back to the banks. Well, in a period of time, they had such a backlog of homes that had been repoed and everything until it caused the rest of the market to crash. And I was making a remark the other day to someone. I said, this is what I'm seeing now with the interest rates are headed back up is the same thing that took place in 2007. And I said people would be losing their homes that, you know, they worked hard to get. And then now the feds are following through with the higher interest rates. I believe we're up to 5.99% interest rate currently. So having, like I say, seen that, I want to protect the citizens of Fairburn and all other neighboring communities, because at that time it was such a bad time, and of course a lot of people living and in here now knows for a fact what happened. Interest rates actually got up to around 20% on a home mortgage for 30 years. The average person could not afford to buy a home. And so with these investors coming in, and supposedly they're using investments from off of the stock market and stuff like that to do purchases with. But there are also those that are borrowing money to go in and purchase these properties, expecting the value to increase. Myself, I've had many offers to buy my home here in Fairburn at a almost double what I gave for it 3-4 years ago. So like I say, it is happening again, and I pray that our state legislators see what's repeating itself and will do whatever it takes to eliminate the possibility of us going through another downturn in our economy. So thank you very much.
Certainly.
And I'll just say that, unfortunately, me and Ms. Glaze can actually account for an issue in our neighborhood that's closer to her house than mine. I've just been it's a headache for not only for the neighbors, but it's actually a headache for the code enforcement as well as the police department in some cases, and the lack of care for premises and the lack of care for the quality of the neighborhood, and it's just, I'm literally fed up with it. So this was, along with you, Linda, I was actually glad that we're bringing this forward, and I believe, I don't think our timing could have been any better with the two new state legislators sitting right here in the house to hear it firsthand for themselves. So with that being said, I'm sorry, does anyone else had a comment? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Amen.
Next item.
The next item is a memorandum of understanding with Music Educational Group. Staff requests mayor and council approval to execute the Music Educational Group Program Memorandum of Understanding for the provision of multimedia and technology training at the Fairburn Youth.
Okay, Ms. Scott, you want to go ahead and?
Greetings, Mayor and Council. Parks and Recreation Department, we are always trying to find new innovative ways to connect our youth to opportunities. And this one with Music Education Group is a MOU between us and Music Education Group to provide free music education training. So within the Youth Center, they will install a studio and podcast area to engage our youth for 6 weeks in courses like music engineering, podcasting, artist development, elements of songwriting, music business, and industry laws. So this will be a 6-week course. It's a mobile studio. They will train all of our teens, the teens that are in the program, so we will only have a limited number, but this is a completely free program to us and our youth.
Okay. Members of council, you've heard this motion stated by the city clerk. Is There a motion?
So moved.
There's second.
Second.
Any questions or comment by council? Mr. Whitmore?
I'm ready to call you your
I know,
your maiden
I know.
name.
It takes time.
Scott, right?
Yes, Scott. Takes some
Mrs.
time.
Scott.
It's only been 2 months.
All right. Well, listen, I just want to say I commend you for thinking outside the box and finding innovative ways to bring programs like this to the city of Fairburn. It's an opportunity for our youth to engage in levels that they would not be able to engage. And I think it's a great thing that you're doing within your department. And I look forward to hearing some positive results from the children that will be participating, and hopefully you'll invite them up to share with mayor and council their level of excitement and the things that they've learned with the various topics that they'll be engaged in with this program. So thank you very much.
Definitely we will.
Ms. Davis?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is awesome. It is so awesome. It gives another outlet for our youth. And we have some very creative and talented youth. But one of the most important things that I heard you say about this is that they will teach music business. We have artists right now that do not know the music business. They like just their talent to be seen and everything, but it's the music business, I think, that's really going to make a difference in that. So I don't see that many components of doing this that includes the music business. So you are right on target. Thank you, as always, for doing such an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Any other member of council? I just want to commend you. As I was going through the packet, the portion outside of the music was the filming and the digital media.
Yes.
I mean, that's already big, and this, for them to basically come into concert on one accord with official training and by our government, it's just, again, that's beyond belief. So, again, thank you so much for even bringing this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Mr. City Administrator, before the clerk announces that, I'm going to ask you, if you will, on this next item, would you explain what's happening?
Certainly.
Yeah, would you, with the splosh in this case? Splash, excuse me, local option sales tax, excuse me.
Resolution for local option sales tax, lost proceeds, and certification of distribution.
Thank you, Ms. City Clerk. Mayor, pursuant to your request, the summary for this particular item, after nearly 6 months of negotiations between the 15 cities in Fulton County and Fulton County government, we were able to, in the last 10 days approximately, to initially strike an agreement with the Fulton County Board of Commissioners for the distribution of local option sales tax for the next 10 years. That total amount over 10 years is about $3.8 billion. Currently, under the previous agreement for the previous 10 years, the county was getting just under 5%, about 4.9% of local option sales tax revenue. They began the negotiation by initially requesting a 35% portion, which was untenable for the cities. And through a series of negotiations, that has now been brought down to an average over the next 10 years of about 9.9%. It's a graduated increase over the next 10 years for the county's portion. It starts at about 5% in the first year, graduates up to 12.5% in the final year, years 8, 9, and 10. But the average over that 10-year period is about 9.9% for county services. The balance of that was then left to be apportioned among the cities. After a series of negotiations between the 15 cities, we were able to come to a consensus agreement among the cities about how to portion that. The basis for that is typically population, but there are other factors to consider. 4 of the cities, as I believe the mayor may have provided in a previous update, have millage rate caps. We also wanted to ensure that all 15 cities remained whole, meaning that no city will receive less in the next 10 years than they did in the previous 10 years. So through that series of negotiations, which was, again, a tough negotiation, we were able to come with an agreement where all 15 cities in Fulton County will receive more money over the next 10 years than they did in the previous 10 years. So after a fairly involved negotiation between both the county and the cities and among the cities themselves. We have finally arrived at a juncture where there is an opportunity and a resolution regarding local option sales tax for the next 10 years. This item seeks approval from the council for the mayor to enter into an agreement, a certification that goes to the state to memorialize this agreement between the city and the counties. For Fairburn, that will amount to roughly, over the next 10 years, about $53 million. Over the next 10 years, about $5.3 million average per year. That's a slight increase over what we received in the previous 10 years. And with that, I'll pause to answer any questions that members of council may have.
Let me do this. Let me, Ms. City Clerk, would you now read the recommendation, if you don't mind? Bring the item to the
Staff
floor.
requests mayor and council approval of a resolution to approve the distribution of local option sales tax lost proceeds, to authorize the mayor and council to execute a certificate of distribution for submission to the commissioners of the Department of Revenue.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Ms. Davis and second by, I was trying to make sure I get that second correct. Second by Mr. Whitmore. Okay, any questions by council?
Just a comment, Mayor.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I would just like to say, we had our city administrator and assistant city administrator that sat through these negotiations along with our mayor to represent our city. And I know of other elected officials that participated as well. But the one thing I want to especially commend the two of you on is when they were asking for various tasks to assist, everybody else was out of the room, was gone. And the both of you volunteered to stay and work with the attorney that was dealing with this. And you assisted, helped, you did anything and everything that was needed in order for us to get to the outcome that we have today. And I just want to say publicly that we thank you for that, because you could have taken the approach that the others took as well. Say, I'm not doing this, I'm going back to my city to go to work. But you stayed there, and you added your 10 million cents worth, all right, to help us to get to where we're at today. And I just want to thank you publicly and acknowledge you for your professionalism in representing a city that is situated to succeed.
Thank you, Councilman Whitmore.
Councilwoman Davis.
Yes, I want to ditto everything Councilman Whitmore said, and I just have one word: amazing.
Thank you very much.
Any other member of council? Well, actually, my comment, again, Mr. Whitmore summed it up greater than I could have, and so I'll just say that this was, again, unfortunately, a painful process for all 15 cities, and even some members of the county. I was having a conversation with a county official, and we both concurred that we're very glad that this is almost over with, and so I just, again, I can't thank our staff enough in the early stages. We set the two sitting before you set the stage as it relates to a lot of written documentation that was that would have cost us a lot of money, would have actually cost our attorney a lot of time. And so again, I want to publicly, again, Mr. Whitmore put it so well and stated that their input was not to be overlooked or underestimated. So again, thank you so much. With that being said, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
The next item is recertification in Georgia Municipal Association City of Ethics.
Okay.
Staff requests mayor and council approval of a resolution readopting ethical principles established by the Georgia Municipal Association and requesting recertification as a certified city of ethics.
City Administrator.
Mayor and council, this is a recertification of the GMA City of Ethics program. There are a few adjustments to the recertification, but not a wholesale change. We are requesting that mayor and council approve this resolution to enter into readopting the ethical principles established by the GMA and requesting recertification of the certified City of Ethics programs and for other related purposes. And with that, I will pause to see if you have any questions.
Okay. Members of council, you have the stated recommendation before you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Smallwood. Any questions or comments by council?
I'm just happy that we're doing this.
Go ahead, speak in the mic again one more time.
I'm just excited that we're doing this. We need it, it stands out, and it's just, every city should be a city of ethics. So thank you so much for doing this recertification.
I think it is
Right
a
on.
reflection of the city and a reflection of this mayor and council and the way you have operated. And so it's a good step for us to take that continues to memorialize what this council has set as a standard for the city.
Thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Our city administrator's report will be on December the 12th. At this time, I'll entertain city council comment. I'll start with Mr. Pat Palin.
No comment.
Okay, Mr. Smallwood, sir.
No comments.
Ms. Davis,
No comments.
Mr. Heath,
No comment.
and Mr. Whitmore.
I have comments. Mayor and my colleagues, I just want to acknowledge one of our employees here in the city. As everyone knows, we asked for a referendum to go onto the ballot. And as everyone knows, there were some issues that we encountered with that. But what everyone doesn't know, for the listening audience as well as those that are in chambers tonight, when that was identified by my colleague Ulysses Smallwood, a phone call was made to the mayor, immediately to our city clerk, and this was jumped on quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I want to personally recognize Ms. Brenda James, because with her vast connections and people that she knows, it took her no time to actually work with our counterparts in the Fulton County government, not looking for blame, because she had all of her paperwork together. And regardless of what they said, she stood her ground. And within 24 hours, they had another machine there just for that referendum that we asked this body to push to put onto the ballot, okay? Now, everyone knows that every business that we have in the city of Fairburn, there's ways of improving and there's ways of increasing their revenue. But when we have a policy or a law on the books where they can't do that and they go to our neighboring municipalities, we did the right thing. Now, I will say, for the record, I've received some phone calls from some Christians, and they told me I was wrong for voting for it and even wanting this to be on the ballot. But I stand firm on separating government and religion, and I stand firm on doing what is necessary to assist our businesses to thrive in a positive way. We don't want to lose business, we want to gain business. And I just want to thank you, Ms. James. Thank you, and thank you. Because it's because of you and Mr. Adam, who's the manager at the Texaco station there on Sonoya Road, who brought it to my attention. And we know back years ago during your previous administration, Mayor, there was a referendum on there and it failed. But this time, the people have spoken, and I think it's, 3-1?
Yes, sir.
3-1. So everyone recognized that this was the right thing to do. And I just want to applaud Ms. James and this body for taking the stance and making it happen.
I agree. Any other member, council? Just you. Okay, just me. Oh, well, the thing that I want to say, well, you know what, Ms. James, would you do me one favor? Would you, speaking of that referendum, you made a comment as it relates to about the certification. Would you just make that clear what has to happen before that goes in effect? You was mentioning, I thought that the vote, the election has to be certified, if I remember correctly. I saw in the email.
Yes, it passed, but we need to have where the county certifies the votes. And once they certify the votes, a letter will be going out. I received several calls, but I let them know that we will be notifying them, and I think Ms. Chris is working with the businesses to find out what business we have, and they will be notified that they can start selling the alcohol. I'm just
Upon
waiting on the certification from Fulton County, and that should be coming. It usually takes them about a week, so we should be getting that.
And if I may add, Mayor,
Okay.
if I may add, yes, they are asking, when can they start? And as a matter of fact, one of them said to me today, can we start? I said, no, you can't until you hear from the city of Fairburn, so.
Well, the clerk has already explained that, and we'll wait for the clerk to let us know once the certification is completed. And Ms. James and Ms. Chris are already coordinating about the next steps after that. I did want to reiterate your words in reference to Ms. James. Experience is a value. And when you have experienced staff, it comes in handy. When Councilman Smallwood, thank you for picking up on that early on the very first day of early voting. You must have been there when the doors opened. You must have been there when the doors opened. And Councilman Whitmore and I just happened to be having a conversation in my office when he called to let Councilman Whitmore know, and then one thing led to another. So, Ms. James, thank you. Experience has a real value, and so that got resolved quickly because of our city clerk and her extensive experience.
Yes.
Just want to mention too, this will be our only meeting in the month of November tonight. We have one meeting, which will be on December the 12th in the month of December. And then I want to make sure that you're aware that we have a Christmas tree fireworks show, actually, here at the courtyard on December the 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m., if I got that time correct. And then finally, want to make sure that you almost have to be living on a rock not to know there's a runoff election in the country, December the 6th. So again, I just want our residents to be aware that there is a runoff election. Just please go exercise the opportunity to vote. Did you have something else, Mr. City Administrator?
Mr. Mayor, they can start voting on the 28th of November, and if you're voting absentee, you can ask for your absentee ballot right now.
Okay.
Early voting will start on the 28th of November.
Would you repeat that one more time? Just want to make sure you get that.
Early voting is on the 28th. You can vote the week of the 28th of November. That's early voting. And if you are requesting an absentee ballot, you need to get that in right now.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Mayor, one additional update for Mayor and Council. We have had some positive activity around filling 2 key staff positions, our next Director of Planning and Zoning and our next Finance Director. We have made significant strides to identifying those 2 positions. We're completing the administrative pre-employment process on both of those. But by the next time we gather as a city council and mayor for a meeting, we hope to be able to share with you some very positive news. So we've gone through an interview process, and we're excited about those 2 positions coming to fruition here in the very near future.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, I want to make sure we have an executive session to discuss litigation, correct? Okay. Can I entertain a motion to go in executive session for litigation, to discuss litigation?
So moved.
There's second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Have a good night. Tell me when you're back up. Okay, we're back in regular session. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn, correct? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion carries. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming tonight.
Good night, sir.
Right, sir. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for everything.
Appreciate you, man.